Okay, welcome to another great Lunch and Learn. I'm Alexa Francis House from Broward County's Purchasing Division, and today we have something special for you. So, we all know that in today's challenging business environment, leadership and teamwork are everything. Someone who understands this at the most extreme level is today's speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Waldo Waldman, a combat decorated fighter pilot and peak performance expert. He will empower you with the skills needed to adapt to change, lead with courage, and build trusting relationships. It appears Waldo's jet has been cleared to taxi. Let's roll his intro video and prepare for takeoff.
A wingman is a trusted partner, someone you feel comfortable going to for help. In today's precarious world of change and uncertainty, when the missiles are launched, you can feel confident that they'll have your back and will help you to stay airborne. This is what being a wingman is all about. It's about turning adversity and fear into resilience and courage to break through the obstacles and headwinds of change. It's about building collaborative cultures of trust with committed teammates and partners who will fly, fight, and win together. Because winners never fly solo.
Great to see you, Colonel. How are you? Author of Never Fly Solo.
What does it mean to be a wingman?
All right. Well, welcome to Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Congratulations to all of you who are putting down your tomato soup and tuna sandwiches or protein drinks and maybe a single malt scotch for some of you to join today. So excited to work with you. I've known Bob for many years, and he was the impetus to bringing me on here today to share with you some ideas about life. You know, procurement, all the things that you do every single day have to, create an environment where you can trust the most important wingman or wingman there is, yourself. And what I want to share today are some things that I learned, not just as a fighter pilot, but as a business person, as a father of a 14-year-old who's dealing with some healthcare challenges, as a married man, as a member of my community, just like all of you, with your relationships, with your challenges, with your blessings, and all the things that we do to make a difference in this world. I'm gonna spend maybe 20 or 30 minutes talking about leadership principles, resilience, dealing with change, collaborating with each other. And then I'm gonna keep this a bit organic, just to share some ideas from the folks that are watching this, and to get some questions, to engage you on some of the maybe issues that you're dealing with right now. So by the time that you're done with this call, you'll feel a little bit more confident in yourself, confident in your team, and able to navigate the precarious world that we're going through right now with tariffs and supply chain issues and healthcare challenges and our children and marriages and all the things that we bring into the cockpit of our life. And so that being said, I just want to get into the nitty gritty here. And I want to start off with a video of a fighter pilot who has a problem. Oil system malfunction in his plane, seized engine. Huge deal on a single engine jet, trust me on this. And so I want you to imagine gliding this plane to land at a runway you'd never landed at before. And you've got only one shot to make that runway. And if you don't land within 15 minutes maximum, your auxiliary fuel is going to run out and you're going to be forced, God forbid, to bail out. Now, if you bail out and eject from that aircraft, you don't know if your jet's going to crash into a church, a school, a hospital. You're under tremendous pressure. And the video that you're going to see is actual footage. Nothing that you see today is from the movie Top Gun or a simulation, just like your world. Your life isn't an air show or a demo. It's real. And it's going to be a little hard to follow, but I want you to hone in hone in on is not necessarily on what you see, but on what you hear as you glide this plane in to land and live another day to see your loved ones. I'm going to call out some things on the radio or on the call here, but I want you to hone in on the communication, and let's get flying. Here we go.
He immediately headed into the emergency divert at Elizabeth City, North Carolina, 15 miles away. His engine was out. His buddies on the wing telling him exactly what to do.
It's off now. Okay, tanks are off. One, mark those tanks.
One's got to mark. Gears coming down.
Elizabeth City, he's turning a right base now. Understand he's cleared to land on a runway 10.
Craft calling, affirmative. Any runway is fine. Runway 10 is clear. Wind 070 at 5. Clear to land.
Okay, he is an emergency. He has engine out. His gear is down. He's short final.
Good. Got 3 green.
You're doing good. You got 3 green. You look good.
3 green means his landing gear are down okay. And these are his wingmen talking to him. Right at the top of the screen, you can see the runway appearing.
034, roger. Continue inbound.
Good job. Clear now. Get it stopped.
It should stop, no problem. Thanks for the help.
Good job.
Okay, so did you hear the guy breathing? Right, I know you're not on, you're all on mute and no videos are showing, but you could hear the guy breathing, nice and methodical and focused and relaxed. And so my question for you is, why do you think he was breathing like that? Was he yelling out motivational phrases? Was he yelling at the crew chief who may have potentially not fueled the jet up? He was breathing because he was prepared. He was breathing focused because he contingency planned and went through all the potential flameouts in the air and on the ground in training before that engine failure occurred. And so there are a lot of lessons to be garnered here in addition to training, but one of the first things to think about is when you're dealing with contingencies in life, procurement challenge, a technical malfunction, a supply chain issue, price changes, et cetera, or maybe even a healthcare challenge, you can only control your controllables. You can't worry about the attitude of a partner. You can't control the economy. A fighter pilot can't control the weather and all those other things, or maybe even what your crew chief did fueling your jet. The only thing you could do at first is to control your controllables, your attitude, putting your training into use, and breathing easy through the complexities of life. And so one of the things I want to challenge you with today is you think about your flameouts in the world of procurement in Broward County, selling goods and services with so many partners, so many variables to make sure quality and efficiency and the best contracts are available to your customers, is to ask yourself, hey, what are those contingencies and am I prepared to deal with them? And am I properly trained? This is why these lunch and learns are important. Now, I'm not going to get into the world of procurement with you, but many of the things that happen outside of our cockpit, outside of our jet, we often bring inside. And so when it comes to your ability to communicate, deal with stress, ask for help, build relationships with partners who may have answers for you, part of your ability to build the resilience muscle to deal with these changes and challenges, to say, what am I doing every day to evolve and build the horsepower, acumen, and confidence so I can breathe easy through those contingencies? Now, I'm 56 years old. I've got a really bad back from flying jets. I've got a 14-year-old. I'm married. I got a Great Dane that drives us crazy, but he's the most lovable dog in the world. I'm on the road 60% of the time. I need to do things that allow me to be energetic and passionate and full of juice and vigor so that I can provide my customers and clients with my gift. And so I do yoga 4 or 5 times a week to help with my back, to help with my energy. I just came off of a cleanse. I'm trying to lose body by brownie that I gained after Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm going to be 57 in a few weeks. I want to look good. And sometimes that has to involve some sacrifices. health and fitness, all the things that are important to you. So I want you to look at this plane, this F-16. And I want you to imagine the Department of, Broward County Purchasing Department, and all the folks that are on this call, to think about your organization as the jet and the squadron of these multiple jets. This plane, by the way, just celebrated its 50th anniversary. 50 years of relevance. Still the most widely used fighter in the world. That's an F-16. And the reason why it's so relevant is because of all the weapon systems and sensors that are always being upgraded and bolted onto this aircraft. This plane is not the same as it was 50 years ago. The cockpit, the engine instruments, all the things, I'll show you a little photo here, all the things that allow us to be mission ready and confident are necessary so that you can breathe easy and leverage this amazing tool called your cockpit. And so looking at the tools and technologies that are available to you, are you winging it? Or are you flying by the seat of your pants, or are you truly leveraging the tools and technologies that the department provides you, which may or may not be that good, right? Sometimes you got a jet that's antiquated and you got to do what you need to, but some of the systems and IT technologies and tools and contracting tools and resources that are available, you allow you to go through that procurement process and create ease of use for your teammates. But even more important than that, I want you to ask yourself is what weapon systems are you bolting onto your aircraft so that you can breathe easy and deal with the contingencies of life? Like I said, health and fitness, your ability to deal with stress, become a better communicator. Are you investing in the tools that are necessary outside of work so you can build that confidence and breathe easy and fly like a champion when you go to battle every single day? You know, the world is evolving. Continuous improvement is critical. And I'd like to ask, if you don't mind, if there's anybody on this call who's doing something special outside of work that's made a big impact in your life that you'd like to share perhaps with your teammates here that are listening to this call. And go ahead and unmute and maybe turn on your camera if you would. I'd love to hear what you're doing, because the teammates that are on this call and maybe across different departments may have an idea or wingtip about life that could be useful to you. Anybody want to share anything? Nobody has the courage here to unmute their mic and share what they're doing. Come on now. Okay.
I'll take a stab at it. I'll take a stab.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's Kirk Thompson in the vendor management office. One of the things I started on for the last maybe 10 years, I started hunting. And for a good while, after a couple of trips, I had to explain to my wife coming home with no animals that, it wasn't a waste of time, because I don't know if any guys ever hunt or fish or anything like that. And I would explain to her, if every time I went out, I'd come back with something, it'd be called killing, not hunting. The amount of time that I spend in the woods, in that environment, and it's quiet, I get time to decompress and I get time to think about things, and it does so much for my spirit that I look forward to hunting season every year. So that's one of the things that I do, and I come back refreshed, and it just renews me. So that's my contribution.
I love it. I love it. I really appreciate you sharing that. And I want to just talk about a little bit more, like this plane can't be airborne the whole time. Sometimes you got to put the jet in the hangar, tighten down the rivets, refuel the aircraft so that it could be airborne. And guess what? You can't change this aircraft engine and the weapon systems while it's flying. And so asking yourself, what do you need to do to put your jet in the hangar and do things to kind of unflex that flexed muscle perhaps? Let blood and nutrition enter that muscle, retrain your mindset, refresh yourself. So I think that's a great idea, because you got to be able to retool and refuel your plane, because the world is evolving and the world is changing, and stress and all those things can add up on you as well. So thanks for sharing that, Kirk. I don't hunt, but I'm an advocate of it. Anybody else want to share something real quick with somebody that they do maybe on a daily basis to get their mindset going well, and something that gives them more energy and vitality in the workplace? Okay. So anyway, yoga, meditation, health and fitness, hobbies, hunting, music, whatever. So I think that's important to deal with. So I want you to think about that, especially as you start thinking about that most important asset in this aircraft, which is the pilot right here. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about that aircraft that was trying to land, because there's another reason why the fighter pilot was breathing relaxed. He was prepared, had a checklist, he contingency planned, he knew exactly what to do, he was confident in those plans so he could breathe easy. But he also had his wingman, right? You're doing good, you got 3 green, you look good. Remember he said that? That meant his gear were down and locked, critical before you land. Now, he didn't need to say that, folks. You're doing good, you got 3 green. We're not motivators like that in the military in general. But in that position in time, when that fighter pilot probably was stressed out, wondering if he'd see his wife and kids again, that motivation probably meant a huge deal. Would you agree? You're doing good. You got 3 green. I'm not going to let you fail. So you can be prepared and confident in your skills, but there may not be a checklist to prepare you for a contingency, or you may not have the experience or the acumen to deal with all the stressors and strains that are going on in work and life. However, one of your wingmen or wingmans can have that. And this is why we never fly solo. We're going to talk about check 6 here in a moment. We always have our teammates because we're only as strong as our weakest link. And if one person fails to do his or her job, the whole mission fails. And I think one of the most important things you could do as a teammate with all the different divisions here in Broward County, DGS, and all the things that are going on in your life is to be that advocate, that harbinger of hope and that comrade of courage to your teammates, and lift them up and encourage them, your teammates and members of your formation who may be having a tough day, who may be dealing with an engine failure, whose gear aren't down and locked. And so I think it should be our passion and also our responsibility to coach and mentor and provide the advice and acumen to our teammates, and also to be able to ask for help. I believe the 3 most important words in life in building relationships and dealing with change are I need help. Mayday, mayday. So are you courageous enough to ask for help? And are you the type of person, the type of wingman or wingman that others can come to for help, which is really the embodiment of what it means to be that trusted partner. And so to garner that trust and connection with your teammates takes a lot of time. And I think many times when we're going through the workday, we got to think about not just the values of the organization out in here, leadership, integrity, fairness, service, trust, all those fundamentals that are part of your procurement mission statement, but really to value the values of your teammates, to learn about their challenges, their dreams, their issues, and things that may be dragging them down on the cockpit of life when we need them to be lifted up. So part of dealing with change and building a strong team and building that resilience muscle is to make those connections and heartfelt conversations with the teammates you may only meet virtually, who may be working obviously at home offices perhaps, who may be dealing with some engine failures as well. So I remember when I was a young captain, I was stationed in San Antonio, Texas, and I slept through a mission briefing. My alarm went off at home and I just missed the briefing. And I knew at that time that I was going to be grounded for that mission that day. If you don't make a briefing, regardless of the reason, you don't fly because you impacted the training. And if it happens more than a few times, you could lose these wings permanently. You got to earn them every day in the military. That's why they're on Velcro, by the way. So I remember walking into the squadron feeling a little deflated because I was late and I wasn't going to fly, ticked off that all my buddies were going to go out and fly that beautiful spring day in San Antonio. And the last person out of that briefing room was my commander. Now, this was no ordinary commander, folks. Combat decorated fighter pilot, state wrestling champion. He was bold as an egg, and his call sign of all things was Psycho. Now, I don't know how he got the call sign, and I didn't want to find out why, but he was really intimidating. Just one of those guys you just felt that you didn't want to mess around with. So he makes a beeline for me, and I'm expecting him to chew me out, but instead he comes up to me and says, "Hey, Waldo, how's it going? You're never late." Is everything okay at home? Do you need a day off? Do you feel all right? Talk to me. I was shocked. Didn't expect to hear that. And I said, Psycho, I'm fine. Just leave me alone. I'll be on my way. So do you think he probably cared about me? Obviously. Do you think he probably realized that I may have had a life outside of the fact that I was a pilot in that squadron that just may have taken precedence over flying that mission that day? And I'm sure there are some of you in this virtual audience today that have lives outside of your work, right? We all have lives outside of our work. And so Psycho connected with me and showed me a little bit of empathy and treated me as a human being rather than an employee or a fellow fighter pilot. And as such, I worked harder for Psycho, volunteered for all the crummy duties nobody else wanted to do. I studied more, and I became a better fighter pilot because of his leadership. And what did he do to show me he was a leader? It was pretty simple. He just asked me a few questions. And then he did that other L thing. He listened. So my question for you, as you build loyalty in your team, as you build the resilience muscle, which often is a byproduct of your relationships and confidence that you have others who can help you, is what questions are you asking your teammates who are showing up on a Zoom or Teams call and maybe working a big contract when they're having an engine failure? Kids are failing out of school. Divorce paperwork just got signed. Parents are in the hospital. And you got to go to work. So leaders lift, we encourage, we connect with each other from the heart, and what follows is the hand. We push up that throttle and go to full power for each other. In the words of the late great General Colin Powell, leadership is about solving problems. And the day soldiers stop bringing you those problems is the day they've either lost confidence that you can help or concluded that you don't care. And so by connecting from the heart, you build that commitment and that passion and drive to execute more effectively and to serve your customers and constituents and all the people that are dependent on you to make sure the traffic lights are working and all the consulting services, et cetera, are provided to all your customers, the people who are depending on you, ultimately. So here's my challenge for you, my Broward County Top Guns. Be a psycho. Or in other words, be a commander, not a demander. Command compliance and loyalty from your heart, your empathy and compassion, and your example. I guarantee your teammates will go to full power for you and work. And I think when you look at the diversity of the workforce, the different, I don't care if you're gay, straight, black, white, green, red, how many eyes you have, whatever, we build that connection, that authentic relationship that starts with the blood and heart before it goes into the muscle. Now, I think it's even beyond that, where relationships are garnered and where perspectives are broadened and perceived a lot more accurately. So this concept of check six is how fighter pilots are able to back each other up in battle. Now, if you think about this jet, once again, I'm going to show you this image. 12 o'clock's out front, right is 3 o'clock, left is 9 o'clock. You can see what's going out front, but in the F-16, you can't see your most vulnerable position, which is behind you, your 6 o'clock position. You don't know if you're leaking fuel or on fire. You don't know if a jet's creeping up on you. However, if you have a teammate at your right 3 o'clock or left 9 o'clock, it's easier for him or her to look over their shoulder to see what you can't see. And to build that perspective in what we call in the military situational awareness, the ability to create a 360-degree view of what's going on. Where's the sun? What's my fuel state? Where are the threats? Where's the emergency landing fields? Where are my teammates? And in your world, it's impossible for you in your specific division to see the big picture. So this cross-collaboration, this assimilation of perspectives and ideas is critical for a high-performing team to develop and grow and adapt to change. And so my question for you is, do you have a blind spot or two in your life? where you may not see the big picture. And if you're married, you probably got 2 or 3 of those blind spots. Just ask your partner or best friend. They'll also tell you that you do, right? And so how do we check each other's six? How do we build that perspective? It's hard because those blind spots we all have. And so part of building relationships is you checking their six, they're checking your six, and thinking outside the cockpit and having the courage to tell each other often what we need to hear and not what we want to hear. And so in combat, if a missile's coming at you, I'll tell you, hey, brake right or brake left, turn left to force a missile to overshoot, or brake right. And I'm basically going to tell you to take action if I see something that you may not see that's going to shoot you down. And we don't second guess each other. We don't use rank and privilege in combat. We just take action because we trust the perspective and the feedback from our teammates. And so as leaders of your organization in your different divisions, 2 things for you as you adapt to change and build that resilience muscle, critical in this volatile world that you're operating in procurement, where so many people are dependent on your goods and services and products. Be coachable and be approachable. Be coachable every single day. I'm sure there are some of you that are on this call that have been in this business for 20 or 30 years. I know Bob has been doing this thing for a long time. He's got ideas and perspectives and battle damage and PTSD to prove it, right? But there's also other folks who may be new to this ecosystem with ideas on cutting costs and leveraging tools and technologies, who may have gone from the private sector into this world of procurement, who may be right out of college perhaps with ideas on building a viable product and service to the customers who are dependent on you in the state and in the county. And so are you coachable and realizing that you've got to sharpen your sword every single day? Understanding that maybe this phone call, this Zoom call may be just what you needed to give yourself a better vector correction, to be a better leader. And then also to be approachable, to be willing to have others tell you you're wrong, and to be willing to have your ego bruised. And once again, this comes with the diversity of our workforce and why having collaboration, which will lead to innovation, and why it's important to get into discussions and conversations with each other every single day to increase our perspective. What I loved about flying fighters is that every one of the fighter pilots, we were humble enough to always learn from each other. And we did this in a mission briefing and also in the debriefing. And the debriefing was really critical because at the end of every mission, no matter how good or bad it went, we'd gather in a room, we'd take off our name tags and our rank because we didn't want to have our ego or our personalities get in the way of growth. And then we'd have tough, assertive, respectful conversations on what went right, what went wrong, how do we improve, what are the lessons learned. And then we always ask for feedback around the room. Everyone from the senior fighter pilot to the newbie, the young guy or gal who's going through training perhaps. We wanted to hear their perspective to see if they saw something that we didn't see. And this debriefing was really, really sacred, and because we had to garner everybody's feedback, we had to leave our egos at the door. And if we found a trend when it came to safety or operational excellence, we'd share those ideas with the rest of the squadron and maybe with the rest of the base or the rest of the Air Force. And so make sure at the end of your missions, when you have a happy client or you onboard a new provider of consulting services or whatever you're providing, make sure that you're, finding out and getting feedback from your suppliers and the teammates that are on your team to hear how you can constantly do better. And we always reward the folks, even the maintainers, the troops that are in the field, if they find a way to cut costs or improve our efficiencies or leverage a tool or technology. We always wanted to have that cross flow of information to build that resilience muscle in case those missiles came. Okay. I think we have like 10 minutes left or so, or 10 or 15 minutes left. How are we doing on time, Alexa, if you don't mind?
Sure. We have about 12, and this is a good point to kind of mention. For those of you guys who may need to fall off at 12:45, feel free if that's what you have to do. But we are so excited to have you, Lieutenant Colonel, that we'll hang in here with you until you complete this thing. But if you guys have to fall off, today's session is being recorded for future viewing, so feel free and we'll keep on chucking.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Anybody have any comments, questions? Let's open it up to some questions here, and then I'll finish it up. Any thoughts, comments, or questions, maybe on things that are going on in your life, or maybe things that I learned as a fighter pilot or in the military?
So, first of all, I want to thank you for being here. You've been very generous with your time and helping us, and I appreciate the lessons that you've conveyed. We go back a few minutes, a few years, and I've learned and lived many of the guidance and the principles that you taught me long ago, and I've tried to share those. So I appreciate it. Your point about relationships made me think about you're mentioning it. Maybe the crew chief forgot, or the fuel guy forgot to put fuel in the plane. So in the business that we're in here, we have a lot of people that surround procurement and what we do, many of whom are on the call today, who are end users, who we do things for. And then we work with the suppliers on the other side of the equation. And I'm also reminded, the guy with the fuel, I think in the Navy, on the aircraft carriers, I think they call them grapes. If you ever seen a fighter land on an aircraft carrier, you have all these people in different uniforms who are doing different things, either at the same time or just sequentially one after the other. You got the people that handle the ordnance, you have the people that handle the plane, have the people that handle the fuel, and it's kind of a dance. And it reminds me of procurement in a way, because all of those people that we have to have healthy relationships with in everything that we do for the county reminds me of that sort of dance. We have everybody checking their six, of course, but we have auditors, we have lawyers, we have inspectors generals, we have risk management, insurance people, we have small business development people, all of whom are walking around our plane of the procurement activity and guiding us on what we need to do. So that really resonated with me. And the fact that relationships are so important, you have to maintain those and build those. So I'll stop there. And I just want to thank you again for your time.
Yeah, you got it. And for those that don't know, because Bob read my book and he saw that, and for time's sake, I didn't share the story, but I'll give an abbreviated version of it, folks. So essentially, one of the last missions I flew in the Air Force, I went to fuel up. I went to fly a jet, and it was short by around 500 pounds, which would really put me at a disadvantage. And I basically was really disrespectful and used foul language to the crew chief, that young 24-year-old kid who fueled the jet, and just really went off on him. Very, very disrespectful. I was a young guy and just did not have that sense of compassion and appreciation for the work that he did. And so my commander got wind of it when I came back from the mission, and he made me walk the flight line and get out there in the hot, sticky summer sun and spend 12 or 14 hours with these crew chiefs, these unsung heroes, in the hot, sticky, sweaty day, changing tires and tanks of gas, and just busted my tail and never worked so hard in my life. And it made me realize that everything I did in the air had everything to do with what they were doing on the ground, but I was selling them out because I thought I was better than them. And so I walked the flight line, spent a day with the folks, and then I found that young crew chief who I chewed out, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry for showing you disrespect, and I'll work on being a better wingman." Not discounting the fact that he may have messed up, but it didn't give me the right to show him disrespect. And I worked on building that trust, that relationship, which is part of your strategy at Broward County. And I did it one conversation and a handshake at a time. And so trust, as you think about that asset, is easy to gain. It's tough to gain and easy to lose, right? You have that one conversation, that one wingnut moment, and that whole relationship is destroyed. And so the lesson for me is to go out there and make sure that we're all appreciating all those unsung heroes that Bob just mentioned, that are part of the procurement process, who may have different skills, acumen, insights, experience levels, and to collaborate across those different units and to be open to the feedback. And also to fill the tanks of gas of our teammates who may not be getting the glory or may not be customer facing, or those unsung heroes who are dotting the I's and crossing the T's, most of whom are on this call, to notice the good that each other are doing, to fill your jets with that asset of appreciation, to fill bank accounts before bank accounts. And this concept of check six is important, because if we fail to check each other six and create that relationship, that connection, then we're going to check out. And in the world of flying fighters, where our lives are on the line, where it's intense and stress is so prevalent, and in your world, where the life and death of your customer, your partners, relationships, your suppliers, and ultimately the end users who are dependent on paved roads and lights and fuel and energy and consulting services, all the things that make the citizens of your state of Florida and your county of Broward County optimal, you can't afford to have your folks checking out. And so stay in touch, walk each other's flight line, check each other's six. We have a saying in the military: lose sight, lose fight. So keep sight of each other, keep visual. Fill the jets of your teammates with appreciation. That's why these calls are important. And maybe going out on a lunch and learn with a coworker or a partner who you have no idea about what they do, and just spend an hour, half a day, walking their flight line, getting in their shoes, and building that appreciation of all they do behind the scenes to make this system as optimal and effective as possible. So that's the story there. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, anything you want to go over as well?
I'm not seeing any questions. More so, everyone is sending, their appreciation of this content, and how powerful it is. Someone said, thank you for your service. Someone else said that having mentors is priceless, as we all know. Yeah, so it seems like, oh, here, a question popped in. So when you were a senior pilot, how often did you accept or use any of the newcomers' ideas or feedback?
Oh man, I'm telling you, we do it all the time. I was just at the weapons school in Nellis, like where the Top Guns, like the Navy has Top Gun school and the Air Force has a fighter weapons school. And it's the schoolhouse for the best of the best. And the reason why they're so good is they want to see what's going out there in the field, in the operational world. The schoolhouse gets data and information, experience level for the folks that are flying in Afghanistan and in Iraq and Syria. And they want to see how the operations are impacting what they could do in the schoolhouse. Now, there may be senior lieutenant colonels and full bird colonels, et cetera, with 10 to 20 years of experience. But many times it's the young lieutenants, the 25 or 26-year-old young men and women who are out there flying in the operational world, employing the weapon systems, engaging in the tactics that they're training there at the weapons school. And they need to solicit that advice. They need to listen, especially in the debriefings when we're operational. And so very, very important for us to listen to what our teammates are sharing with us. When I was a flight lead, there were things that we would learn from those young lieutenants. And if you got cocky and thought you were too good and didn't stay vigilant, that young wingman or wingman would wax your tail and shoot you down and do things that you weren't capable of, that you didn't think you were capable of, you didn't think they were capable of. And so complacency is aligned with should be aligned with humility, avoiding that complacency issue that can drag your confidence down and allow your competition to degrade your skills. And we have competitors maybe that are sitting next to us in some way, challenging us to do better. And the economy is a competitor, but the biggest competitor is yourself. And so the person that said mentors, I have a saying, make your friends your mentors and your mentors your friends. And this is why Bob Gleason is such a friend and mentor of mine. My dad always said, don't be careful who you spend time with on the weekends. So as you assess your mentors, try to make them your friends. And if your friends aren't your mentors, get new friends. You need folks who have your back, but also have the courage to piss you off because they love you enough to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. A mentor and a friend who's willing to grab your keys if you've been drinking, to make the hair stand up on the back of your neck if they see you doing something that lacks the integrity and honor that's symbolic of a leader in your community. If my friends and if your friends are accepting of your mediocrity, then they're no wingman or mentor. And so I think it's important for us to constantly assess our friends and mentors every single day, because it's an important part of refining our flight plan and becoming a better leader and a better member of our community.
Another question that just popped into the chat. What daily practice would you suggest for someone trying to improve their resilience?
Okay, great question, because I've been slacking off on it a little bit, and it's built some awareness in me. So for me, I always call it setting the vector of your day. Like what you do when you get up, what are you feeding your mind, your ears, your eyes to kind of create that environment of confidence, of courage, of resilience, of peace and joy, knowing that you're going to be strapping into your cockpit and the missiles are coming, right? And so I pray every day. I read a little spiritual prayer, and it's got a little meditation in it, and it kind of marinates my mind in a positive way. Gets me thinking of things that are important. And sometimes if I'm not careful, my computer or my phone will blow up, and it'll hijack my ability to stay focused on setting that environment, that vector. So reading something spiritual, and also doing some exercise in the morning. I think it's important for us to sweat every day, to go for a brisk walk, to do yoga or exercise, to get the blood flowing in your body. I think it's an important part and an important tool, regardless of your age, to build that energy level that you need to become more confident. And then also, I've got a list of friends who, if I'm having some wingnut moments and I'm getting drugged down from the complexities and potential burdens of life that are a byproduct of responsibility and the rank on our shoulders, I'm always willing to call out to friends for help. I know who's going to be my comrade of courage. I'm calling Al Wansky or Mark Wilczek or Chris Hoskin. I'm grabbing my dog, right? My Great Dane. I'm giving some kisses. My wife is my number one cheerleader. Sometimes when you're that flexed muscle and you're in combat, what's great about life most times is that you can just park your jet and go for a walk or call out Mayday and change your environment outside of the turbulence that you're experiencing. Couldn't do that in combat. But in real life, sometimes you just got to say, time out. Let me remove myself from this situation, get out of the cockpit, and change my environment. And when it comes to resilience, I think that's really, really important. If we're locked in and we forget to just go outside and just take a walk or phone a friend for that matter, or have some lunch, sometimes you got to take that little break and let your mind marinate with some positivity before you get back into the cockpit. So those are a couple things that I think are things that you could do to kind of build that resilience muscle and deal with some change management. I've been very, very cognizant of that lately, because just in the past year and a half, both my parents died. I moved. My son was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. We're having some wingnut moments with some contractors in our house. So life can get to you. And if I'm not cognizant of that and don't have friends that I can release my energy to, then I'm in the dungeon of doubt. And you can't fly high when you're in the hangar of doubt.
Wow. And one last question. Have you read the book Think and Grow Rich by
I have.
Napoleon Hill?
Absolutely.
And have you practiced any of those suggestions?
Oh yeah. He talks about fear and just a lot of things. Absolutely. Manifesting your mind, creating visions of success, creating it in your mind, and creating a target and a goal. What we think, we create. What we focus on, we we achieve. I truly believe that. So anything in your life, be it good or bad, if you're focused on it, the universe, through the transmutation of energy, through metaphysics and all those things, you will attract that in your life. And so I've noticed this because I have had some turbulence. I just shared some of it. I'm asking myself, am I focusing too much on the negative? Am I not focused on the positive outcome? Am I attracting some of these turbulent situations because ultimately that's what I'm focused on? I'm very, very successful in my life. I got wonderful things, but I also have a lot of other issues and challenges that are going on. Welcome to life. And so Think and Grow Rich, and any book that you read on focus and energy and relationships are very, very critical in manifesting the things that you focus on. You know, ask and you shall receive. Think positively, and I think those positive things will go through your life. And there's a Dr. Joe Dispenza is also a really, really amazing philosopher and doctor out there that's relevant today. He talks about that law of attraction and meditation and rewiring your brain. So those are really critical habits. So I've really focused lately, set the vector, get more focused on positive people like Bob Gleason. And it looks like, Alexa, you're one of those positive wingmans as well. The people are the conduit, and you want to be that type of person that's shining light and solutions and positivity, not the one that's spewing negativity around. And although many times we're just going to have those tough moments, you know, we're all human beings, right? So
absolutely. All right. So, Lieutenant Colonel, I want to use the last couple of minutes here to give you the opportunity to talk to us about anything interesting you have going on. I think you have a newsletter. Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have some socials if people want to, you know, continue to be inspired as we were today?
Absolutely. So number one, I'm at Waldo Waldman on LinkedIn, Instagram, social media, all that good stuff. At Waldo Waldman, you can find me there. If you do connect with me, let me know that you found me through this call. Also, I want to gift everybody a copy, an audiobook copy of Never Fly Solo. It's a New York Times bestseller. If you go to that web link or use that QR code, open up your camera, and that'll send you to that page. You can get a copy of my New York Times bestseller. It talks a little bit about what we talked about and a lot of what we didn't, right? Because there's so many things about being that trusted partner. And you'll also get a resilience challenge following that once you sign up. And those are on dealing with change, asking for help, a 5-video series with a little worksheet that you can take advantage of as a follow-on item to this program. That resilience challenge is, where is that? It's right here. It's like just a couple of different videos. And that's basically it. My book, my next book is hopefully going to be coming out on Veterans Day. That's my goal. It's going to be Commit. I overcame massive claustrophobia and a massive fear of heights to become a fighter pilot. And this book is about how I turned that fear into courage and how I was able to take action despite this massive phobia and agoraphobia that I had. And so I'm really excited about that book. It's going to be called Commit, unless I decide to change it here in the next couple of months. But it's about going all in on your dreams and breaking the fear barrier that may be holding us back from achieving success in life. So that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share my time with you, and thanks to you all for investing in yourself, the most important wingman there is. I hope I was able to fuel you up a little bit and give you some insights on being a more trusted partner in your life, especially in the world of procurement there in South Florida.
Absolutely. I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel empowered. I feel like I could become a fighter pilot, but I think I'm a little too old now, but it's okay. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Waldo Waldman, for your time, for your words of wisdom. We really appreciate you really taking the time out to do this for us. I dropped in the chat there that he is at Waldo Waldman. So if you want to continue this journey of inspiration, you can reach out to him, look up his information there. And again, today's session was recorded for future viewing. So if anyone else that you know needs this, jet fuel today, feel free to go ahead and share with them the link to our Lunch and Learn playlist. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you to Bob Gleason for connecting us and bringing this to Broward County. This was amazing. And thank you, Lunch and Learners. We appreciate your time. Go forth.
God bless. Take care, folks.